My fiance didn't realize I was behind her when she whispered to her ex, "I miss you so much." That night, she told me she wanted a break. I smiled, agreed, and moved out overnight. The next morning, she woke up to an empty apartment and a cancelled wedding venue. I met Sarah, not her real name, at a local coffee shop in downtown Portland. She was a barista, and I was just another customer who couldn't start his day without a caffeine fix. Our interactions started with simple pleasantries, but over time, they evolved into deeper conversations. We bonded over our shared love for indie music, hiking in the Columbia River Gorge, and our mutual disdain for the endless Portland rain. After several months of casual chats and exchanged smiles, I finally mustered the courage to ask her out. To my delight, she said yes. Our first date was at Powell's Books, followed by dinner at a quaint little bistro on Alberta Street. From that night on, we were inseparable. Our relationship blossomed quickly. We moved in together after a year, renting a cozy apartment in the Pearl District. Weekends were spent exploring the Oregon coast, attending local art exhibits, and hosting game nights with friends. Sarah had a magnetic personality. She was the life of every gathering, and I often found myself in awe of her charisma. After 3 years together, I proposed during a weekend getaway to Cannon Beach. With Haystack Rock as our backdrop, I got down on one knee and asked her to be my forever. She said yes, tears streaming down her face. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. Wedding planning commenced almost immediately. We chose a beautiful vineyard in the Willamette Valley as our venue. Sarah was meticulous with details, from the color scheme to the floral arrangements. I was more laid back, happy to let her take the reins while I focused on the bigger picture, our future together. We sent out save-the-date cards, booked vendors, and even started premarital counseling. Everything seemed perfect. But looking back, there were subtle signs, moments when Sarah seemed distant, preoccupied, or overly protective of her phone. I chalked it up to wedding stress. I wish I had paid closer attention. It was a Friday evening, about 2 months before our wedding. Sarah mentioned she was meeting a friend for drinks at a bar downtown. I decided to surprise her by picking her up afterward. As I entered the bar, I spotted her at a dimly lit corner table, leaning in close to a man I didn't recognize. I approached quietly, intending to greet her. But as I got closer, I heard her whisper, "I miss you so much." My heart sank. I stood there, frozen, as she reached out and touched his hand. She hadn't noticed me yet. I turned and left before she could see me. I waited at home, trying to process what I'd witnessed. Sarah returned an hour later, acting as if nothing had happened. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I waited for her to bring it up. She didn't. Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, she said, "I've been thinking, maybe we should take a break." I looked at her, feigning surprise. "A break?" I asked. "Yeah," she replied. "I just need some time to figure things out." I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said. "If that's what you need." She seemed relieved. "Thank you for understanding." Once she was asleep, I sprang into action. I packed my belongings, careful not to wake her. I canceled the wedding venue, contacted our vendors, and informed my family and friends. By sunrise, I was gone. I left a note on the kitchen counter, "Sarah, I heard what you said. I hope you find what you're looking for. Take care." My name, the messages started pouring in around noon. Sarah was frantic, asking where I was, why I left, and what was going on. I didn't respond. I changed my number, blocked her on social media, and moved in with a friend across town. Mutual friends reached out, some expressing shock, others offering support. I learned that the man she was with was her ex-boyfriend, someone she had claimed was just a friend. A few days later, one of our mutual friends, Mike, who had always been more loyal to me than Sarah, texted and asked if I was okay. I told him I was fine and that I'd explain everything when I was ready. That night, we met at a dive bar on S.A. Hawthorne. He already knew something was off. I told him what I saw at the bar and that I left the apartment and canceled the wedding. Mike just stared at me. Man, he said, you need to hear something. He pulled out his phone, scrolled a bit, then turned the screen to me. It was a screenshot of texts between Sarah and her ex, dated back to months before. They weren't just talking. They were meeting up, reminiscing, saying things like, "It's always been you," and "I miss our nights together." I felt sick. My hands actually started shaking. Mike looked nervous. "I didn't want to show you until I knew you were ready. She's been playing both sides for a while. She was telling people she was confused. That she still had feelings for him but didn't know how to let you go." She didn't know how to let me go? She had a funny way of showing that, lying to my face while planning a wedding and whispering sweet nothings to her ex in the shadows. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling of Mike's spare bedroom, thinking about the last 3 years of my life. All the plans. All the trust. I had never felt so used. 2 days later, Sarah's mom called me. She was crying. "She's a mess, my name," she said. "She's not eating. She's barely sleeping. She said you left without explaining." I almost laughed. I wanted to scream at her that her daughter was cheating on me with her ex. But I didn't. I just said, "I saw everything. She knows what she did." Her mom went silent. "I didn't know," she finally whispered. "She told us you got cold feet." Of course. That's how she'd spin it. That I bailed because I was scared. That I couldn't handle commitment. That she was the victim. I decided to talk to her, just once, to clear the air. Not for her, but for me. I needed closure. We met at a park near our old apartment. She looked rough, eyes puffy, hair in a messy bun, hoodie way too big for her frame. The first thing she said was, "Why didn't you just talk to me?" I stared at her. "Talk to you? Like how you talked to him?" Her face fell. "I heard everything, Sarah. You said you missed him. You held his hand. While I was home thinking you were meeting a friend." She looked away, biting her lip. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I just got confused." "No," I said. "You don't get to say that. You don't get confused for months. You made a choice. Over and over." She started crying. I didn't feel bad. Not anymore. "You told your mom I got cold feet?" I didn't know what else to say. Everyone kept asking, "You lied. Like you've been lying." She kept crying, but I didn't care. I told her I was done. That I didn't want her calls, her texts, or her apologies. That there was nothing to fix. She said something that stuck with me, though. As I was walking away, she whispered, "I never thought you'd leave like that." And that made me pause. Because she didn't. She thought I'd wait. That I'd stay. That I'd forgive. But I didn't. In the weeks that followed, she tried to get in touch again. She emailed me. Wrote letters. Sent mutual friends to check in. But I ignored it all. Until one day, another twist came out of nowhere. Mike called me and said, "You might want to sit down." I was already sitting. "She's pregnant." I didn't say anything. I just waited. "It's not yours," he added. "It's his." My heart didn't even race this time. I was too numb. I just leaned back and stared at the wall. She wasn't just cheating. She was building another life before mine had even finished burning down. But that wasn't the craziest part. "She wants to meet you," Mike said. "She said she has something to give you." "What?" I asked. She wouldn't say. But she seemed serious. I didn't want to see her again. I had buried everything and was finally starting to breathe. But something about the way Mike said it, it made me wonder. I agreed to meet. Not because I cared. But because I was curious. We met at a small coffee shop in the West End. She looked different this time. Not broken like before. Just tired. She slid a small envelope across the table. You deserve this. Inside was a check. A big one. I cancelled my half of the wedding too, she said. This is your share of the losses. I know you paid more. I'm sorry. I was shocked. Not because of the money, but because she actually admitted it. I never meant for it to go this far, she said. I was stupid. I kept thinking I could fix everything. That you'd still marry me. That I could forget him. I nodded slowly. But you didn't forget him. You went back to him. She nodded. And he left me. I blinked. What? She laughed, bitter and broken. After I told him I was pregnant, he ghosted me. Blocked me on everything. His number, his email, even his mom won't talk to me. I didn't know what to say. I felt nothing. She was sitting there, crumbling in front of me, and I had no emotion left. You don't have to forgive me, she whispered. I just wanted you to know. Everything. I didn't respond. I left the check on the table, stood up, and walked out. Because that was the moment I knew for sure there was no going back. Not for her. Not for me. A week later, I was finally getting back into some sort of routine. I had moved into a new place on the east side of Portland. Small, quiet, just enough for one person. My job had kept me distracted, and I was trying hard to build my life without her shadow dragging behind me. Then I got another call. This time, from an unknown number. I usually ignore those, but something told me to pick it up. Is this my name? A woman asked. Yeah. Who's this? My name's Erica. I think we need to talk about Sarah. My chest tightened. Who are you? I'm her coworker, well, ex-coworker. We used to work together at the gallery. Sarah worked part-time at a downtown art gallery during the week, just a side gig she loved for the community and the exposure. I never really paid much attention to it. I figured it was just another hobby of hers. Erica's voice got quiet. I didn't know how to reach you before, but after what she did to me too. I just couldn't stay quiet. What are you talking about? I asked. She was seeing him at work. That same guy. Her ex. He used to come by the gallery a lot, help out at events. They were sneaking around for months. I caught them in the back room one night during a fundraiser. She begged me not to say anything. I didn't, until she turned on me. I leaned back against the kitchen counter, stunned. She told our boss I was stealing. Got me fired. I wasn't. I swear I wasn't. But I think she knew I saw too much. There was a long silence between us. I'm sorry, Erica said finally. I just thought you should know who she really is. I thanked her and hung up, and everything that had settled in me started shaking again. That night, I went digging through my old emails. There had been messages Sarah forwarded from that gallery, event updates, invites, things I hadn't thought twice about. But now I started connecting dots. Dates she stayed late, weekends she claimed she had to help with installations, times I offered to stop by and bring her lunch and she suddenly wasn't available. There were more lies than I could count. But then came the part one didn't expect. The next day, I got a text from a number I did recognize. It was her ex. The one she was cheating with. The one who supposedly ghosted her. Hey. We need to talk. It's about Sarah. I nearly dropped my phone. I didn't even know how he got my number. But I couldn't ignore it. I agreed to meet, mostly out of curiosity. We sat across from each other at a food cart pod near Belmont. It was awkward. We both looked tired, broken in different ways. I didn't know she was still with you, he said. She told me you two broke up months before we started seeing each other again. I didn't say anything. She lied to both of us, man. I found out the truth when she told me she was pregnant. That's when I bailed. Yeah, I said. She told me you ghosted her. I didn't ghost her. I told her I wanted a paternity test before I did anything. She freaked out. Said she didn't need me. That I was just a distraction. He shook his head. And honestly, I don't even think it's mine. I blinked. What? She was texting other guys too. I found out after she left her phone unlocked. She was on dating apps. Messaging random guys. While she was with me. I felt like I was sinking again. I thought it was just us, he said. Turns out we were all just pieces of whatever game she was playing. I didn't want to believe it. Not because I thought she was incapable of it. But because I didn't want to believe I had fallen that deep into a lie. I left that meeting with more questions than answers. Then, 2 nights later, I got an email. From Sarah. It was long, like, pages long. An emotional dump of everything. She wrote that she never stopped loving me. That the ex was a mistake. That she panicked when the wedding felt too close. That she was self-destructive. That the pregnancy was real, but she'd lost it. That last part stopped me cold. I didn't know who the father was, she admitted. But I told myself it didn't matter because I wasn't ready anyway. And then, it just happened. I lost the baby. I didn't know what to feel. Sadness? Relief? Anger? And then she wrote this, I think there's something wrong with me. And I don't mean mentally, I mean really wrong. I've seen a doctor. They think there's something serious going on, but I'm too scared to get more tests. I don't want to do this alone. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Was it true? Was this another way to reel me back in? Or was it real this time? I didn't respond. I didn't know how. Instead, I forwarded the email to Mike. He read it and replied, "Dude. She needs help. But it's not your job to fix her." And he was right. But then, about a week later, I got another message. This time, it was a voicemail. From her mom again. She collapsed at work. They took her to the hospital. I don't know what's going on. She asked for you. And I just sat there, holding my phone, listening to that message over and over. Because I didn't know what the hell I was supposed to do. I sat in my car outside the hospital for what felt like hours. I didn't go in. Not right away. I stared at the entrance, thinking about everything she'd done, every lie, every moment she pretended, every piece of myself I gave up trying to believe she was the one. And now she was in there asking for me, like I was still the person who could fix everything. Eventually, I walked inside. The front desk gave me her room number without hesitation. She was on the 3rd floor. I took the stairs. When I entered the room, she looked even smaller than the last time I saw her. Pale. Hooked up to machines. Her mom sat in the corner, eyes red and tired. She stood when I walked in and gave me a faint nod. "I'll give you two some privacy," she said softly before stepping out. I stood there for a moment, just staring at her. She looked at me like I was both her savior and her ghost. "I didn't think you'd come," she said. "I almost didn't." She nodded slowly. "I don't know what's wrong with me." "They're still doing tests." "What happened?" I asked, my voice flat. "I collapsed at work. Blacked out. They think it might be neurological. Maybe something autoimmune. I don't know. They're running scans." She started crying again. "I messed everything up. With you. With my life. I keep trying to be someone I'm not. And I keep hurting people who don't deserve it." I didn't say anything. "I loved you," she said. "I still do." "No," I said, finally stepping closer. "You loved the idea of me. You loved that I stayed. That I made you feel wanted. You didn't love me. Not the real me. That's not true. It is. If you loved me, you wouldn't have cheated. You wouldn't have lied for months. You wouldn't have dragged me through planning a wedding while texting your ex and screwing around behind my back. She opened her mouth but closed it again. Her eyes filled with fresh tears. I took a deep breath. You want the truth? I came here to make sure you were okay. That's it. Not because I want you back. Not because I forgive you. Just because I couldn't live with myself if something happened and I never said goodbye. Her lip trembled. I didn't mean to ruin us. But you did. That's when her mom came back in. She must have heard everything, because her face was tense and flushed. She looked at me like she was holding back years of disappointment. You're right to walk away, she said quietly. I've been cleaning up after her for a long time. Since college. Always getting caught in some lie, some mess. You're not the first. But you're the one who stayed the longest. Sarah's head shot toward her mom. Mom, stop, no, Sarah, her mom snapped. You wanted truth? Here it is. You've been given chance after chance, and you just keep burning bridges. He loved you. He gave you everything. And you spat on it. Sarah broke down in sobs. Real, hard, ugly sobs. Her mom sat down heavily. You need help, baby. Not another boyfriend. Not another lie. Real help. I stood there, watching the two of them, and something inside me shifted. The anger didn't leave, but it changed. It became a kind of sadness I didn't know how to carry. A quiet acceptance that sometimes love isn't enough. That sometimes people are too broken to love you back the way you need them to. I walked out without another word. Outside, I sat in my car again and looked up at the sky. Portland was cloudy, as usual. But for the first time in a while, I didn't feel like the world was closing in on me. In the weeks that followed, I started rebuilding. Therapy helped. So did cutting ties with people who only reminded me of her. I moved again, further out of the city this time. Quieter. Cleaner. I started hiking again, not to forget her, but to remember myself. One day, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was hers. Inside was a simple note, I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I'm finally getting help. I'm in therapy. I've started over. I hope you have too. I hope you find someone who makes you feel safe again. I never did deserve you, but I'll always be grateful I had you. Even if I ruined it. Sarah, I didn't cry. I didn't feel rage. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer, and went for a walk. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever fall in love again. But I do know one thing now that I didn't back then: loyalty means nothing to someone who doesn't value honesty. And love without trust is just a slow kind of self-destruction. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. And for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with that.